General Lowenberg hired me as the AGR JAG, and worked there for almost 15 years before moving on to become the U.S. Property and Fiscal Officer.
I'm Joe Seamandel, and welcome to Raven Conversation. And today I'm joined by Colonel Matt Cooper. He is the U.S. Property and Fiscal Officer for the Washington National Guard. Longtime Guardsman, amazing leader in the organization. Sir, I appreciate you coming on. I know we've kind of had this one. We've had to work some schedules out, so I appreciate making the time.
This was kind of a long time in coming, but glad to be here. U.S. Property and Fiscal Officer. I've been in the Washington National Guard 23 years now. Came off active duty and came over here. Learned about the Washington National Guard from my father-in-law, who was also a longtime Washington National Guardsman. He was the very first AGR JAG in the Washington National Guard. So have that bit of connection. He was here for over 20 years as an AGR. Somebody else came in and did the job for about another 20 years, and then I came in and did the same job he did many years later. So it's a great family connection.
Yeah, and you were a member of the 81st Brigade during the 1st Brigade deployment?
Yep. I came right off of active duty, left active duty on a Friday, and the next Saturday showed up for my first drill in Seattle, back at the old Seattle Armory.
Was it one of those what did I just get myself into moments?
Yeah, I was wondering, but it was really a good fit though. There's so much about the active duty Army that I loved and wanted to continue. Some of it that I wasn't that wild about. That was a great compromise to be here in the National Guard, and so it was. As I kind of got my feet wet, it turned out to be a really good fit.
Yeah. So you kind of already mentioned how you found the Guard and what led you to the Guard, and that was the JAG office, it sounded like. You had a connection right there.
Yep.
And you went on to become the state JAG for quite a while, too.
Yep, I did just under 15 years as the AGR JAG for Washington, and probably about 3 years before that, just in 81st Brigade.
Yeah.
Kind of progressed my way up through General Lowenberg hired me as the AGR JAG, and worked there for almost 15 years before moving on to become the U.S. Property and Fiscal Officer.
Yeah, I don't think we've had a JAG on. For those that don't know, Judge Advocate General, what exactly do they do for the soldiers and the organization?
We do a lot. We serve both command and we serve soldiers. A couple of different things. One of our missions is to meet all the legal needs of soldiers to enable them to be ready for military service. So, do you have something that needs legal attention? Do you need a power of attorney? Do you have your estate plan in order? Are you having trouble with your landlord? Those are all things that we can do for soldiers. Advise them on other legal issues. And then for the command, we help the command maintain good order and discipline. So are there disciplinary issues? Are there issues with regulations? Do we need to draft regulations at the state level? Those are all things that we work in the JAG office. And so, spend a lot of time with commanders working in the JAG office, and just the great thing that I loved about that job is just the wide scope of issues, because you worked everything from property issues with the ownership of Camp Murray. Get some crazy stories about the ownership of Camp Murray, all the way up to taking care of problems, operations, dealing with landslides. One of the most interesting things I did was negotiate an agreement with Seattle City Light to use some of their land to do a bypass road around the Oso landslide so that we could get school buses in and out of the area.
Oh, yeah, the road that went up the hill.
Yep. The road of liability.
Yeah.
So
it was like an old logging road or something like that.
Yeah, it was it was under Seattle City Light's power line right away, and so they used it to maintain their power line. But we needed to actually get stuff in and out of the community.
Yeah. So, and shout out to JAG. I also want to make mention, if you're in the Guard and you don't know, you can actually get a will and a power of attorney and all that stuff. As part of being in the Guard, they can handle that. So, which is amazing. That is part of the benefits that you get from being a soldier. Is you have the right to get legal services, and like a will these days, if you went downtown and got one from an attorney,
probably run you about $4,000 or $5,000. You can get the same thing or better here from our attorneys, and on your average drill weekend. And that's just one of the many great benefits you get.
Yeah. So then after the JAG office, you moved over to the USPFO, became the actual state USPFO. I'm trying to remember, was that
2019?
Yeah,
it was
2019.
in June of 2019. Yep. So it's kind of an involved process. This really goes, kind of look at everything in a legal framework. The National Guard is really a cooperative and partnership agreement between the state and federal government, and this position is very much that. You are the TAG interviews and selects people, sends a couple of names down to the governor. The governor looks at them, decides which names to send forward, and then they send 2 names forward with a recommendation to the Chief of National Guard Bureau. Chief of National Guard Bureau makes a selection and then appoints you as the U.S. Property and Fiscal Officer. So you're kind of doing 2 things. You're advising the TAG, and you're a member of the TAG's team, but you're also a representative of National Guard Bureau and the Chief of National Guard Bureau and the Secretary of the Army and Secretary of the Air Force, because I also handle all the Air Guard finances, equipment, property, all flows through our office as well.
Yeah. So, and that, I think you kind of touched on the broad overview of what the office does. When we're talking, what's kind of the day to day, and how do they support the guardsmen down to like the lowest level even?
So day to day, there really isn't anything that we aren't involved with at some level. So every piece of equipment that comes through, whether it is a canteen cup or a striker, everything comes through our office, and it comes through our warehouse. We account for it. We have to help with the maintenance, and then make reports back to National Guard Bureau, back to the Army about the status of all our property and equipment. We do mill pay, so making sure every soldier, every airman, every civilian gets paid. That's also part of our office. Transportation, contracting. So the lunch that you get at drill was contracted for through our office. Payroll, paying the bills, cooperative agreements. All the facilities that are in the inventory of the Washington National Guard they're again a partnership between the state and federal government. The state pays usually about a 25% share of running a facility. The feds pay the rest, and so we're involved with making sure that split happens and providing the funds to make all the construction and maintenance happen on all of our facilities, and trying to get our facilities, get our projects funded, because that's always a big issue is trying to get enough money to take care of all our needs.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that's nice about your office is you've been in that job now going on 6 years.
Yep.
Colonel Wargo, I think, came in shortly after you did as the deputy, or maybe just before.
He came in before. So he's been in there probably about 8 years. He was there almost 2 years before me.
And now he's Mr. Wargo.
He's Mr. Wargo. He's retired.
And there's a lot of good continuity there, I think, which is extremely important when it comes to making sure property and fiscal, responsibilities of the organization are being maintained. It seems like you've had a lot of continuity in that office.
We have, and our office is truly a great office. We have national level experts in all of the subject matter areas. Mr. Wargo's been there for about 8 years. He really has the continuity of the entire office. Our chief of contracting has been there probably 12, 14 years. So he knows he is a national level expert in National Guard contracting. Mm-hmm. Our comptroller has been there more than 20 years, also an expert in his field and someone that the entire nation comes to ask questions.
Yeah.
With our property, we have an expert in every single field that's national level. So,
yeah, which is phenomenal. I think we're very lucky, I think, in Washington to have all that.
We definitely are.
So I think there's probably also misnomers. What does the USPFO not do that you guys often hear, like, hey, that's a USPFO issue?
A lot of times I think the biggest thing that we probably take a knock on is, I've got a pay issue. Our military pay and civilian pay too is also a cooperative thing. We handle kind of the tail end and making sure that the pay inputs get paid and the checks actually go out. But the input is really the important part. Mm-hmm. And if somebody didn't put you in for pay correctly, it's not something that is readily apparent to us. But something that we have to help fix. Yeah. So, we hear a lot about pay issues and, hey, I'm not getting paid and the USPFO needs to fix it. Well, we definitely do need to fix it, but some things are broken because, the information in the system's only as good as the information that went into it.
Yeah, exactly. So switch gears. I know I didn't throw it in my thing there. You're also a graduate of the Air War College.
Yep.
What was that, 2018, I think?
2015, 2016.
Yeah. Man, my dates are way off.
Time flies.
It does. Talk about that experience real quick.
That was a great experience. So as a judge advocate, I had the opportunity to put in for War College. I could either apply within the state to be compete for a seat within the state in our allocation, or for judge advocates, there was one seat nationwide that I could put in and compete for. So I decided that year it was probably better for me to put in at the national level. So I put my application in at the national level and ultimately was selected for that seat. All of my predecessors in that program went to the Tufts University School of International Law and Diplomacy in Boston. So I was kind of looking forward to a year in Boston, going to Tufts University at the fellowship. And when they came out with that assignment, they said, congratulations, you're going to be going to beautiful Montgomery, Alabama for a year in the Air War College, which kind of had to take a minute to think about that. But it was a great opportunity. The Air War College is a small program compared to the Army War College. It's about 240 students in residence, and about half of them are international students. So got a chance to meet a lot of folks from around the world, to work with them every day for the entire year. Great faculty down there. Got to experience the South, which I'd never lived in the far southeastern United States. So that was another cultural event.
Especially as a skier, that probably was
it was a tough year to not be out in the mountains and out on the slopes. But it was a really good experience. We learned to appreciate the beach because we were only a couple hours from the Gulf Coast beach. Had a chance to do some amazing things there. The thing that the Air War College does that the Army has given up in their program is they do an regional cultural studies. And so for a couple of months after, starting in January every year, you are assigned to a region and you do about 2 months of study. And then you take a 2 to 3 week trip to that part of the world and work with the host nations there. I drew a pretty good straw in that, and was able to spend 2.5 weeks. Flew into London, spent about a week in London with the British military headquarters. Got a chance to see London. Went over to the Normandy beaches, did a D-Day staff ride. Went on to Paris, spent a week with the French military there. They were, at the time, just trying to figure out how to stand up a National Guard. They didn't have any experience, so I answered a lot of questions about, how did the National Guard come to be? Mm-hmm. What do we need to do to get one of our own? And got them headed down that path. And then we finished up with a week in Berlin, looking at stuff in Berlin.
That was a good pull. That was a real good pull for
that was a very lucky draw on my part.
Yeah.
So,
kind of wrapping up. Anything else? I mean, I just appreciate you coming on and sharing kind of what your office does and kind of your story. So.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing and the reason that I'm still here, every year you ask yourself, how much longer am I going to do this? Is that I find our service extremely personally fulfilling. The thing that first drew me to the military in my life was I was looking for something with more meaning. I was in the private practice of law. Mm-hmm. I found that not very personally fulfilling, and so I was looking for more. Prior in my career, I'd been a firefighter and found those interpersonal relationships where you count on somebody 100% of the time with your life. I found those relationships really fulfilling. So I was looking to somehow replace that. And I found more than that in military service. Being a valuable member of a team with an important mission, I think is the best thing that anybody can ever do with their life. And that really was what did it for me and what keeps me around. And the people that you get to serve with and the mission that you do every day, there's no more important mission in the world. Even if you're only doing it on 2 days a month, there's no more important mission in the world. And there's no better team to be a part of than our team here.
Yeah, and you kind of echo, I think, what a lot of other people said. It's that continuing to serve. So I appreciate you coming on, sir, once again, and sharing your story. And it's funny you mentioned, I was literally chatting. Heather Straub reached out to me saying, hey, Alex has been watching these things. He absolutely loves them. He misses serving. And you kind of hit it right there on the head. So I think there's something that keeps you coming.
I think there's that unknown, for all of us, there's going to be a time that we have to quit doing this. And, what do we do to fill that void in our lives? And there's ways to do it. And I think it's a scary step when it's looking you more directly in the face. But I think there's something out there we can all continue to serve.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate coming on and sharing it.
Glad to do it.
If you like the video, give it a like. If you want to watch more videos about the Guard, subscribe to the channel. If you have a comment or question, throw it in the comments and we can share it. And, sir, I just appreciate you coming on.
You bet. Thank you.